Understand, and I'm not necessarily, needless to say, what we're doing right now is teaching through a metaphor. So I'm talking about literal gambling, but then again, I'm talking about what we do. Because entrepreneurs, by definition, if you don't know that, we take unusually high financial risks, unusually high financial risks. Now, I love the people who are like, okay, if you know anything about gambling, you can't win money if you don't bet money to start with. A lot of people are like, well, I just want to win. You know the story about the pastor, and he's just like, God, I just want to win the lottery. I've been serving you faithfully for 50 years, and, I've never asked for anything for myself, and if I could win the lottery, that would be great. So he goes to bed. The next day he gets up, looks in the paper. He didn't win the lottery. So he goes to pray that night. He goes, hey, Father, I know you're always with me. I was pretty sure you were with me last night. I'm sure you heard what I said. I've never asked for anything for myself. If there's any way I could win the lottery, it would be incredible. It would be such a blessing. So this time he's pretty sure he's got it locked in. Goes to bed, wakes up, goes to the paper. He didn't win again. The next night he's like, hey, God, hello, I'm talking to you, 50 years, busting my back. Could I please win the lottery? I don't mean to be aggressive, but, I think it's time for a reward. Goes to bed, gets the paper, next day, nothing. Now he's upset. It's like, Heavenly Father, hello, could I please win the lottery? All of a sudden, it starts getting like thunder and lightning, and the clouds, there's rumbling, and the clouds part, and God's voice comes booming down from the heavens, and he says, it would help if you would buy a ticket. So you can't, if you want to ante up, entrepreneurs take unusually high financial risks, and you're like, okay, so what can I get for $3? Like, oh my God. So we just launched some products, right? If you didn't get the products, it's like, hello? Like, come on, but I can't afford it. So how many of you know who Robert Kiyosaki is? Certainly you've heard of Robert Kiyosaki. Okay, cool. And I know it amazes me how many people go, oh yeah, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And or maybe you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad a long time ago. A lot of y'all haven't read Rich Dad, Poor Dad in a while. I would revisit that book. There is so much stuff in that book that is pertinent to what we're doing. So one of the things Kiyosaki's Poor Dad, and if you don't know the story, his actual dad, his birth dad, he refers to in the book as his poor dad, and then his best friend's dad, who was a multimillionaire, he ended up learning from, he refers to as his rich dad. So his poor dad always said, the father said, we can't afford it, we can't afford it, we can't afford it. Growing up, everything they wanted to do, we can't afford it. In his rich dad's house, whenever someone in the family were to say, we can't afford it or I can't afford it, he would correct him aggressively and said, we don't say that in this house. In this house, we say, how can we afford it? See, one thing closes off the thinking process completely. Think about it. I can't afford it. I'm done, and that's it. I'm out. The other one opens up the thinking process. How can I afford it? Do you know that you could have about twice as many people on your team here at this event if when they were pondering coming here, most of them didn't come because of financial reasons. And if you could have helped them find a way to get the money, do you realize there would have been more people here? So listen, promoting events is a skill set. I believe inviting is critically important. I talked to you about that earlier. Unless you invite someone, it doesn't matter how good the presentation is, but they're both very important. Closing the sale is very important, and then training people, fast start training, getting them moving in the right direction is incredibly important. Those 4 skills we're going to teach again and again and again and again. We'll mention other things, but those are the 4 core ones, and the 5th core one is promoting. Because you can't just do one quick call to action or do a Zoom with your team and you think that's it. Promoting events is a one-on-one sport. And when we're promoting them, we're selling them. Okay, and when people have objections, and their number one objection will be the money, we're going to get them to understand, how can I afford it? The next time someone says to you, I can't afford it, hopefully a thing triggers in your brain. If that's the only thing you get all weekend long, and from now on, for the next 10, 20 years, every time a prospect says, I can't afford it, you go, how can I afford it? You'd be amazed at how many more sales you can make. And that has absolutely nothing to do with what I'm talking about, but it's just free extra content. So cards, gambling. So we need to ante up. We need to be willing to bet something in order for us to get something. When the song started, also, I want to draw your attention. I'm sure you've heard that song in the past. It's called The Gambler by Kenny Rogers, not Kenny Loggins, sorry. Kenny Rogers, and the thing in that song that always hits me is off of reading people's faces and knowing what their cards were by the way they held their eyes. How many of y'all play poker? Let me hear if you play poker. Yeah, and how many of you have heard about a poker face? You need to have, come on, Lady Gaga taught us that. Poker face. Believe it or not, that expression was around before the Gaga. So you need to have a poker face. That means you have the same look all the time. So a lot of you, the way your business has been going lately, analogy, you get your cards and you're looking at your current team going, whenever we do the view, this is a character from a training called The View from the Edge, and everything we do is authentic. The props, when we do the gladiator, it's the authentic deal. Trust me, this is also authentic. All right, so poker face. So it's like, so if I'm doing a presentation for a new prospect, and I'm doing it like I get done looking at my back office and go, and now I'm going to talk to you. How many think my poker face is going to give away that I'm not doing very well? Okay, so you need to be the person who's always in a good mood, all the time, always in a good mood. Now, if you were to look at your cards and you had 4 aces, which is pretty much unbeatable, okay? If whatever, a straight royal flush, whatever the highest thing you could have in your hand, if you looked at your hand and you saw that, I mean, shouldn't you be like, whoa, like, yeah? So that's how you have to present. And I know what you're saying. See, this is something you got to understand. I'm sure you've heard this before, but I want you to really hear it. The attitude always comes before the paycheck. Any moron can have a good attitude if you give them $1 million. I mean, you have to be a pretty miserable son of a gun not to have a good attitude. So anybody can be happy if they're making $1 million a year already. But here's the thing. How would I act if? How would I act if I was already Todd Falcone? I was already making a ton of money. See, start acting like them, because if they try to recruit someone and they don't say yes, they're not like, oh my God, how am I going to pay my rent? It's not what they do. So start acting. Years ago, I met a guy named Clint Eastwood. Ever heard of Clint Eastwood? I was on a ski trip in Sun Valley, Idaho. That was definitely the place to be back in the day. Celebrities all over the place. So Clint Eastwood, and ironically, that girl Lori I told you about, she and I never dated, but we became really best friends. She was the top producer in the same company. And we were walking towards the line at the cafeteria at the lodge to get a little something to eat. And right as we were getting there, Clint Eastwood was getting there. And it was like, oh my God. So as we got right up to the line, he took a step back and went, after you. Going, something doesn't add up here. Shouldn't he be beating the shit out of me right now? Like, Isn't Clint Eastwood like, go ahead, punk, make my day? Like, he's not the after you. That's not who he is, you know what I mean, in the movies. So I say that, and we actually chatted with him the whole time online. He was super cool. He couldn't have been nicer, but he never played a nice guy in a movie. So listen to this. If you always want to be an actor, you're now allowed to be an actor. From now on, play the part of Robert Hollis. From now on, play the part of if you were killing it, if you had the business that you want to have, just act like that person. So you always act like you've already got a great hand and you'd like to have another great card, but if not, oh well. Does that make sense? Cool. All right. Now, let me get to my favorite part. And again, I'm not going to do the whole character right now. This is just an idea to give you an idea. When we do a view from the edge, which we will be doing for the company in the summer of next year, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, long days, long nights. We do about 20 different characters throughout the course of the weekend, and a lot of them are instructional, a lot of them are fun, but some of them are dead serious. Like, hold a mirror right up to your face, and hopefully at these moments you'll feel like, I don't care how many people are in the room, if there's 20,000 people in the room, you'll feel like there's just you and me. And I'm going to hold a mirror up, and I'm just doing it so you can take a really good look and make an honest conclusion on what's going on. Because the truth is, we all know that how many of you believe that you could take it to a higher level than you are right now? Let me hear you if you. Isn't that crazy? For a long time, I had never been in a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. That has changed a lot over the years. But in the beginning, I'd never been in a car with 6 gears. Like, I didn't even know what that was. All the cars I had 4 gears. And I found out it was a 5th gear. I was like, oh my God, then there's a 6th gear? See, what if you as a human have 10 gears and you're only in 2nd gear? See, that's the thing you got to understand. You can do so much more, and the view is a great place to get each of your people to turn it up at least 2 gears. Not saying they'll walk out after 3 days and be at their maximum human potential, but they're going to turn it up a couple of gears. So again, imagine doing it for yourself is great, but imagine doing it for a bunch of people on your team. So I'm going to do my favorite part of teaching here, and this is a perfect recruiting analogy if you're trying to build a team. It doesn't have a lot to do with selling, but we'll have plenty of things to talk about selling. So I am going to flip out cars. This is a shoe of cars that you would use at a blackjack table if you ever go to Vegas. And what we're really doing, and I talked about this earlier, is we're looking for a low maintenance, high volume person. Can we all agree with that? How many of you have ever had someone on your team where you call up to motivate them, and by the time the phone call's over, they motivated you? Like, you call someone to go, hey, we need to get you registered for the training. They're going, get registered for the training? Dude, I've already got 15 of my own people registered. You're like, that kind of thing? We call those people in our business an ace. Okay, so in a deck of cards, you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Jack, Queen, King, and an ace. So what we're doing is we're flipping over cards every day, and we're looking for an ace. That's what we're doing. It's that simple. Many of you are making this business way more complicated than it needs to be. So let me start. It's a 2. Okay, so for some people, they go, well, I tried. I just tried. I mean, there's probably no aces in there. I'm just not a good card flipper. Obviously, I don't have what it takes to flip a card. How many of you think you need skill to flip a card? Forrest Gump's dumb brother can flip cards. Okay, so let's flip another. It's a 9. Some of you are like, ooh, a 9 is better than the 2. Okay, whatever. Whatever it takes you to get to flip another card. It's an 8. Okay. All right, I'm getting a hang of this. It's a Jack. I'm getting close. It's a 7. It's a 6. It's a 7. 6 and 7s are a pain in the ass, to be honest with you. Fuck it. Now, you do realize that most people who join your team will never flip this many cards. Okay, they're not going to flip this many cards. They're going to talk to their mom and their sister, and they go, oh, Aunt Martha was in one of those things once, and they're like, I don't know. They're like, okay, and they quit. And so if you are only flipping a couple of, most everyone you bring in is going to quit. Do you realize that? Listen, 50% or more of the people who get married get divorced. I've done that. It's expensive. So here's the thing. To get divorced is for real, could be very expensive, and people still do it. How many of you know that more than 50% of people who go to college do not graduate? How many of you went to a university with a cheerful refund policy? If you go to some school and you spend 80 grand a year, and after 2 years, 3 years, you drop out, what do you get? Close your eyes. That's what you get. You get nothing. Nothing. Okay? So people quit college when there's a lot of money at stake. They quit relationships with a lot at stake. So you don't think people are going to quit, but what does it cost to sign up in My Daily Choice? Nothing. Nothing. It costs nothing. So you don't think people are going to quit? What kind of crack are you doing? Okay? I should say, what kind of hemp are you doing? Okay, so people are going to quit, man. So just understand the game. The game is most people are going to turn over a couple of cards and either legitimately say, I'm just not good at flipping cards. Like, you got to get the parallel. You are flipping cards. Whether the card is a 6 or an ace is nothing to do with your ability. Okay, when I'm doing an opportunity presentation, I'm a teacher administering an IQ test. Okay, when I give people an IQ test, if I get back a kid who gets a 71, I think Forrest Gump got an 80. So if a kid gets a 71, could you imagine yelling at them? Going, damn it, I can't believe you only got a, you'd be going, aw, do you want a cookie? Like, you only got to say, so when people don't see it, it's because they have a low IQ. That's all. That's it. It's like people who are smart look at it and go, what? I can sign up and pay nothing? I can get this guy Josh to work for me for nothing? The whole company works for me for nothing? I have lawyers and attorneys and accountants and tech. How much money do you think it would cost for you to start your own company and have the kind of tech this company has? Are you kidding me? And you get that for nothing? Someone with a high IQ is going to understand what's going on. So again, it doesn't, all you're doing is flipping cards. Your presentation, of course, you try to get better and better, but ultimately, if you have the most boring, monotone presentation in the world, the key is to do it every day. Flip another card. It's a 7. Now, when you're flipping 7s and 3s, Jack, and you're flipping card, ooh, a king. Oh, damn. Sorry, let me talk. Hi, king. How are you? Wow, you're so close. Hold on, ready? Oh, my God. You are so close. You need to be an ace. No, I'm telling you, dude, you can be an ace. No, I'm just telling you, visualize right now. Look, I'm pretty persuasive. I told you I sold cookware to people who didn't need cookware for $2,000 35 years ago. I'm fairly persuasive. I'm not good enough to convince this card to change. And neither are you. Okay, so but you don't understand, Mark. No, you don't understand. A 3 is a 3. A 3 is not an ace. Nothing is funnier to talk to people go, well, I got this guy, Bob. He never shows up for events. He doesn't want to talk to anyone he knows. He has no money to invest in a product, but I believe he's going to be successful. Maybe you need a drink. Nine, 3. So when you're worn out, you know why we do the trainings as frequently as we do? Because when you're like this, you need a damn training. You need to get back around the campfire. That's the expression we use all the time. Man, when you're outside and it's cold outside and you can get around a warm campfire, how many of you know what I'm talking about? That's an incredible feeling when you're really freezing, get around that campfire. These events are the campfire. These events are always going to be the right environment. You're going to have top leaders at every single one of these events. And it's not just what they say on stage. That's certainly part of it. You know what one of the coolest things is for the recognition we do. Every time we do an event like we're going to do at boot camp, we'll do new rank recognition. We're not going to wait all the way till the end of the year. We're going to do it on a regular basis. So here's a couple things. So I'm in the audience, and some amazing trainer is teaching at a super like Ray. How great was Ray? Give it up for Ray. Ray did an amazing job. So talented, so insightful. So we'll have stuff like that for sure. And while that's going to impact your new person in the audience, you know what may impact them more than anything? When we do rank advancements and someone walks across stage, we let them talk for 30 seconds and they go, hey, before this, you know, I was a truck driver and I was really struggling financially, but I just said, what the heck, I got nothing to lose. I got involved. They told their story and now they're at this rank. That one story will have more of an impact than the rest of the event combined. And here's the deal. We don't know which story it's going to be. Okay, different people, but we're going to get, so here's the thing. Let your team know if they hit a new rank, they will be on stage in Dallas. People work for money. People work for money. They will die for recognition. If you make recognition a big deal, if you promote it properly on your team. So here's the thing. We need to have some friendly competition. Friendly competition. How many people are going to walk stage on your team at the next event? See, and if you're really competitive, it gets down to, man, I want our team to dominate the stage at the next event. And I'm telling you, that's one of those things, all these people who invest, these corporate people who start network marketing companies, they have no idea what makes it work. It is hilarious how clueless they are. They have so much money, blah, 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 blah. This product, that stuff's all nice. Things like what I'm telling you right now are what drives human behavior. People work for money, they will die for recognition. We're going to do a great job at all the events of recognizing people. So the event is the campfire. It's designed to get the new people to have a breakthrough. Here's another expression, and this, I believe, without a shadow of a doubt, happens most frequently at big events like this. It doesn't matter when you get in the company, it matters when the company gets in you. Okay, when the company gets in you, and it's just hard to do that at a weekly presentation. It's hard to do that at a Zoom. But because here's the bottom line. If you look at any great sports franchise, if you look at any great university, if you look at any great corporation, what makes it great, what separates good from great are the people. There are amazing people in the companies or in the organizations that are a higher level. So when people come around the campfire and they meet all the people, I believe the meeting after the meeting is as important as the meeting during the meeting. You get outside the room, don't sit with your 2 or 3 people you came with, man. Go and meet your family, meet your community, get to know each other, man. We become brothers and sisters, especially if you're not in the same downline. Lori and I were never in the same downline. I never made a dime off her. She never made a dime off me. I told you my sponsor was dumber than a rock. My sponsor had me on his team and quit, for God's sake. So I was orphaned. Okay, so I needed an upline. There was no upline. The guy above me, my mentor, he didn't have time to do 3-way calls with me. Are you kidding me? So I teamed up with Lori. You know where I met Lori? At an event. The meeting after the meeting is really, really important to get to know each other, have a good time, build that camaraderie. So when you're struggling and you're frustrated, you need the event. When you're on a roll, the event needs you. Okay, so when things are rolling, when your team is killing, again, you're going to be the person that inspires at that event. When you're having a drink with someone at the bar, your story, your 10 minutes about how things are going, you have no idea the impact you're having, but you're inspiring people. And when you're not in that mode, you need to be inspired. Just come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. This is like a sports team you can never be cut from. I don't know if any of you remember that. Back in the day, man, I remember my sophomore year in basketball. I was so afraid I was like going to get cut. I was like one of those last guys on the borderline. You can't get cut here. You could suck worse than anyone in the history of the company. We can't get rid of you. You can keep coming back again and again and again. And now you're done with the event. So now it's like, yeah, baby, let's flip some cards. 4, I don't care. 10, Jack, it doesn't matter. I'm a card flipper. I'm a card flipper. I'm a card flipper. It doesn't matter. I'm a card flipper. I'm just flipping some cards. 10, king, not quite, but and I want to make sure you're getting all of these cards. What's the difference between a king and a 2? Now, I know someone's going to, oh, excuse me, Mark, let me explain to you in poker terms. Okay, that's cool. We're not playing poker, we're in network marketing. So in network marketing terms, the difference between a 2 and a king is they are exactly the same. They are not an ace. Okay, I'm just telling you, you can disagree with me on this if you want to, and I understand different people have different values. I understand you could say a 2 is the guy who only comes to a meeting once a year and he recruits one person a month. Or one person a year. And this person is full-time. I get that, but I'm trying to teach you this. When you're doing what I'm doing, all I'm doing is flipping cards looking for aces. Now, here's the thing. When you sponsor someone, okay, I'm flipping cards, sponsoring people. The odds of you sponsoring an ace are, how can you tell? They're pretty low. Where do you suppose most aces come from? Deeper in your group. Guys, I'm just telling you, this is one of those laws. You know what the law of gravity is? You all know that, right? So if you don't know the law of gravity, I'm deeply concerned about you. So the law of gravity works whether you believe it or not, okay? It just works. So if you don't understand it and you take a step off of this stage, it's going to kick in, whether you get it or not, whether you agree with it or not. So in our business, most of your aces will not be on your first level, second, third. They're going to be deep in your group. Why? Because God wants you to dig for it. He's going to make you work for it. And here's the other thing. A lot of you guys, God, I could go for hours. So a lot of you are sponsoring a 4. Check this out. And a 4 sponsors a 7, sponsors a 9, sponsors a 3, sponsors a 2, and 7 levels down, you have an ace. You are telling the 4 what to tell the ace. Again, how industrial strength is the crack you're snorting? The 4 couldn't teach the ace if its life depended on it. So who needs to go deep in their group? You do. You got to go down at you. Some of you have an ace 7, 8, 10 levels on deep in your group right now, and you haven't connected with them. You know where they're going to be in 6 months? Somewhere else. They're not going to be here. They need to get some personal contact with someone who really knows what's going on. So we drive depth. Okay, keep flipping now. I know you're saying, I got it now, Mark. I got it. Stop flipping cards personally and only work with my group. Manage my group. That's not what Mark is saying at all. How many of you can walk and chew gum at the same time? Okay, great. So you need to flip cards and go deep in your group at the same time. Listen, it is the number one thing that screws up most network marketers. It's just the way it is. They get enough people they personally sponsored, and then they're comfortable with it, and they just start working in their group. Let me tell you a quick story. How many have ever seen the movie Miracle? Have you ever seen Miracle with about the U.S. hockey team, the U.S. Olympic team? It's an amazing movie. So there's so many teaching points out in that movie, but one of them is when they have been practicing for like 4 months or something like that, and they're 2 weeks away from the actual Olympics in Lake Placid. At one of their last practices, Coach Herb Brooks brings a player in who hasn't at all been with the team during the whole time they've been there. And he's not just a player, he's a player who's significantly better than most of the players on the team. And they practice and stuff like that. And if you've seen the movie, you remember the players kind of get with him afterwards and like going, man, what are you doing? This isn't cool. Like, this guy hasn't been here with us. We're like brothers. Forget all that for a second. That's what my mentor did all the time. I could never be comfortable with my position at the top of the company because he was always bringing in someone who was better than a lot of us. And the unwritten rule was best players play. So if you're not the best player, that's cool. Just look at the guy I just brought in. And it was just this, he never said it. He never said, I don't need you. He never said it. He just kept bringing in badasses that I remember one month, he called me up, he goes, dude, congratulations. This is your biggest check you've made so far. $73,000, that's so awesome. I'm so proud of you. I mean, really lavishly praised me. Then he told me about one of my friends sidelined to me who made 140. And then he told me about the brand new badass guy he got who thinks he's going to beat the guy making 140. Okay, Mark, congratulations, click. I was like a confused dog. I didn't know what the hell just happened. I'm like, I know I should be feeling really good right now because my mentor praised me. But when he told me how far behind I was the other guy and that he just got another guy who's going to be even better than him, the point is I never stopped flipping cards. I couldn't afford to start because I had to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. So just keep flipping cards. 10, 10, 5. Now, at this point, some people are going to go, damn, I bet you there's no aces in there. The people who started in the beginning took all the aces. That's what it is. There's no aces left. All those people started at the beginning. How many realize that's a complete and total joke? Okay, I'll tell you this. I'll make you a bet. Anyone want to bet me $100? I'll bet you 1,000 to your 100. As a matter of fact, I'll bet you 10,000 to your 100 that the top income earners for this company haven't signed up in it yet. I guarantee you when the history books are written, the people are, and that's no disrespect to the current people that are killing it. The key is the best people are attracted to a company like this when it builds momentum. And we're about to go into a big momentum phase. And yeah, we'll attract some leaders from other companies. I'm talking about brand new people who never heard of MLM before, never looked at it before. We're going to be drawing people like that in like crazy. They're going to be top producers. So now, more than ever, don't stop flipping cards. Because if a bunch of those people get started and they become the top income earners and are in someone else's group, you won't be happy. But if they're on your team, you'll be happy as a pig in poo. All right, so you keep flipping cards. Keep flipping cards. Keep flipping cards. When you're down, you drink. If you're not... You don't drink. I'm kidding. You go back to a training. And if you're at the training, you can have a drink. But you keep flip. Damn, that took a while. Now, look at how many cards worth. Believe me when I tell you, most people will never sponsor this many people. Not going to happen. So I believe this is the way it works. I personally, I went 2.5 years until I finally got an ace on my team. 2.5 years. So again, it's like what if we told you that you will find an ace every 10 cards you flip? Some of you are going, I don't know, 10. Other people are like, yeah, for sure, 10. I'm all in. Okay, what if we told you it was 1 out of 100? Oh, damn, 1 out of 100. What if we told you it was 1 out of 1,000? See, here's the point. It doesn't matter. There is no mathematical equation how do I find an ace? How do I improve my skills? You don't. There's an element of chance in this, but the harder you work, the luckier you get. I was talking to Robert last night, Robert Hollis, and he was saying, yeah, Mark, just shucks, golly, I'm so just lucky to have all these great people on my team. And I'm like, you've been lucky for a long damn time, Robert. It's like, isn't it amazing how lucky Robert always is, and he always has amazing people because he works his ass off. You get to where you are by flipping a ton of cards. Now, I've got an ace. So now, this is what most of you do. You throw a saddle on your ace and you ride it. Woo! I sponsored that guy. Check it out. I'm their sponsor. Or you take credit for their success. These are all brilliant things to do. When you sponsor an ace, it's a good thing. Celebrate. Be happy. And then, you know what you do? Flip another card. And when you start flipping 2s and 3s and you compare them to your ace, that's another thing. Now you're going, why can't they just be like ace? It's like, oh my, and now you're back and you're in the, see, it's much easier to pick up the phone and talk to your ace and talk to them about how things are going and motivate them and help them do the game. But now you pick up the phone, someone goes, well, I just don't know if I could work with a company that sells marijuana. I mean, I don't know. Or, it's like, is this, or whatever, they're going to have 80. I read something online about the network marketing industry. I mean, they're going to come, threes are just, you know what I mean? Like, if I could, you can't do that, but if you could. And another one. No, you don't ever do that to your people. Here's the thing, let me do a nice teaching point. A 4 or a 3 or 2 can be very annoying. You know what you do when you're around your 4? Hey 4, how are you today, brother? Good to see you. Go out and kick some ass. Okay, I'm not going, dude. A 4, really? Like, really? That's all the volume you can produce? Like, that's it? Like, that's the only amount of people you can get to a training? See, a lot of us think that by denigrating the people on our team, we're motivating them. It doesn't work that way. Every 2, 3, 4 I've ever had on my team thought I was the coolest guy in the world. I was always super nice to everybody I come in contact with. Now, was I even nicer to my top producers? Hell yeah. Did I do nicer things with them? Yes, and most of my 2, 3s, and 4s would hang out with me in groups, okay? And the people that were killing it, the aces, the top producers, those people I would spend one-on-one time with for sure. Okay, and remember this, never let a 4 drag you down to their level. Your job is to pull them up to your level. So you keep flipping cards. You got 1 ace in the bag. It's easier now. And I know part of our comp plan is a binary. This is my favorite. So now you have an ace, and the ace goes crazy. And they're like building crazy. And you're like, what's the matter? Well, I've got like 14,000 people on my left team. And I've only got like 114 on my right team. Now, you do realize that most people, if you were to ever say that out loud, would seriously consider strangling you if they could get away with it. Oh, poor you. You have 14,000 people on one team. Boo-hoo. Most people have 2 teams they have to build equally at all times. So when you have one person, don't play a Jedi mind trick on yourself that there's something wrong with that. Flip another card. Flip another card. Flip another card. When you're tired of flipping cards, when you're frustrated, come back to an event. It's funny how the events just happen right at the point of frustration. Then you go back and you're more jacked up and you flip more cards and you flip more cards and you flip more cards and you flip more cards. When you can't take it anymore, you have a drink. Flip more cards, flip more cards. Queen, ace. This is literally where you need to get to. Guys, it's like this is a lot of you, this is another thing you do. You look at the card, I can see it, but you can't, right? So you don't know what the card is, you're going, oh, this card is gonna be an ace. If this card turns over, this card is gonna be the greatest ace in the history of aces. You know why? Because you're inviting someone with a lot of potential. Potential is a fancy French word which means someone hasn't done jack shit yet, okay? You cannot be a psychic friend and predict who's an ace and who's not an ace. But a lot of you do, and here's the best part. Then when the ace who was never an ace in the first place isn't an ace, then you get depressed and stop flipping cards. Flip another damn card. Now, I love how this works out. Like, for real, like I didn't expect that to be an ace, and that's the way it should be, man. Here's the thing, and I'm sure you've heard this. You have to fall in love with the process. Okay, if you are only gonna be, listen closely, someone needs to hear this. Many of you are only happy when you have a good result. When you get a really good result, you're in a good mood. Here's what's so ironic about this, and I know Jenna talks a lot about the law of attraction. I love the law of attraction. The law of attraction pretty much states that you're a magnet and you're gonna draw things to you just like you are. So if you're only excited on a day that you had a good result, that means most days you're not gonna be excited, which means you're gonna vibrate low, which means you're gonna attract low to you. So you should always be in an elevated state of mind. The attitude comes before the paycheck. So if I love, and please somebody get this, if I fall in love with flipping cards, if I fall in love, listen, I went to blackjack, I went to Vegas the other day. I was doing a gig out there, and I got to play blackjack for a couple hours. My wife was coming out the next day. I was by myself, so instead of getting in trouble, I played blackjack. So I played blackjack. It was good. And I enjoyed playing blackjack, and I played blackjack for 2 hours, and when all was said and done, I left with exactly what I started with. Now, most people would be unhappy with that. My father was a very blue-collar guy, dropped out of school when he was in 5th grade because he was the oldest of 10 children in New York City, Italian immigrant family. So he was not book smart, but he had a lot of common sense. And he said to me one night, he goes, if you go to a casino and you play for 2 or 3 hours and have a blast, and at the end you break even, you actually won. Imagine if you go to dinner tonight. There's a lot of nice restaurants around here. Go to your favorite badass restaurant. Okay, the other day I went to a place called Guy Savoy. So that's Guy Savoy if you don't speak French. So Guy Savoy is a 3-star Michelin in Paris, and dinner's like $2,000 for 2 people, right? At the end of that dinner, if they came back and said, Mr. Aceta, we enjoyed your time, so here is your money back. You don't have to pay. How many of you would be pretty flippin' excited if they gave you all your money back after you enjoyed everything? So that's playing cards and breaking even. Now wait for it. If you're in this business and all you're doing is breaking even, but you're enjoying the process, you're already winning. The key is to fall in love with the process and break even, and then all of a sudden the aces pop up and it's like, damn, I wasn't even looking for one. Now, when you have 2 aces, what do? That's when I retire. Nope, that's when you keep flipping cards. You just keep flipping cards, you keep flipping cards. So you get the general point there, yes? All right, I got one more thing to tell you. I'm running out of scotch and time, so I got to finish up. All right, so here are my chips, right? So if you do watch, how many of you ever watch poker on TV? Do you? Yeah, you need to get a life. Oh, okay. Sorry, that wasn't fair. I apologize. It's cool. Here's the cool thing. I'll tell you the whole cool thing about watching poker on TV if you never did it. So, they're playing against each other, and then you get to a point where someone like doesn't have enough chips. Someone maybe bets 10,000 and you only have 3,000 left. So you have to put you go what they call all in. You go all in. You don't have enough to match the bet, but you put everything you possibly can in, and that still allows you to stay in the hand. Now, the key here is, and why it's so dramatic, is if you win, it's a huge deal, but if you lose, you're out. Done. So it's very intense drama. Now, I love when network marketers say they're all in. You are so full of excrement, many of you. All in. All in. All in means there's no other possibilities. One of my favorite movies, I love the scene in the movie, An Officer and a Gentleman. I don't know if it's an old movie. I'm sure the millennials are like, huh? So, An Officer and Gentleman, Richard Gere is this guy. He wants to be able to fly jets, so he goes to this high-level military boot camp, and he's learning how to become an officer, and the drill sergeant is played by Louis Gossett Jr., who won an Oscar for it. It's a cool movie. And Richard Gere is a guy who grew up on the streets, and he's very street savvy, but he's a hustler, and he's doing stuff that he shouldn't be doing. He gets caught. So while the rest of his people have been there for 10 weeks and they get to go on leave for the weekend, not him, he's staying behind. And the drill instructor decides that he's going to physically, mentally, and emotionally abuse this guy, because if you don't understand this, in that level of the military, they don't fire you, you have to quit. You have to DOR, you have to drop on request. So he is after him, man. I mean, he is putting him through physical hell, and he's just screaming at him. He's calling him all kinds of names. He knows everything about his childhood and his upbringing, so he's insulting him like to the worst level you could possibly imagine. And he just beats on him for the whole weekend. And it culminates with this scene as his son is going down on Sunday night, and he's just physically worn out. He's mentally worn out, but he won't give up. And the drill instructor's getting pissed, and he's like, come on, give me your DOR. Come on, drop on request. You know you don't go. Give me your DOR. And his hard ass, this guy who's like too cool for everybody, he's too good for all this, he turns to him and he looks at him with a tear in his eye and he goes, I'm sorry. He says, give me your DOR. And he said, I won't. He says, then you're out. You're out. I'm throwing you out. And then he looks at him and he says, you can't throw me out, man. I've got no place else to go. Don't throw me out. When I saw this industry, that's how I felt about this industry. When I saw this, guys, like Ray, I've made tens of millions of dollars. My lifestyle is so far beyond my wildest childhood dreams. It's ridiculous. And it's all because of this industry. A lot of you guys are not all in. Stop kidding yourself. You're not even a third in. Listen, the word decision, the root of the word decision in Latin means to cut off. Are you cutting off every other possibility other than my daily choice? Are you giving it everything you've got? Are you going to every event? Are you doing everything you can? Because the bottom line is people who win at the highest level don't win at the highest level by mistake. They win at the highest level because they give everything. They risk everything. And here's the deal. If you risk everything, if you're playing poker one night and you go all in and you lose, guess what? You get to play again tomorrow. It's okay. But if you don't get to a place mentally where you go back, let's go back to an abundance mentality. If you go all in, are you sitting there going, damn, I'm going to lose everything? Are you sitting going there, I'm going to put it all in and I'm going to win bigger than I've ever won before in my entire life? Ladies and gentlemen, let's go all in.